Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 18th day of September, 2019. Well, I do not have the correspondences and astrological information up yet on the blog. My computer rebooted, and it began installing updates, and that took a while. And right when I was getting started to do that, I just saved it, and I was just getting ready to do that, and then when I finally got to back to it, I couldn't find my astrological software. It wasn't loading. It's there, but it wasn't loading. It's in the Windows section of my Mac laptop. You can get these Windows platforms. You can run. I think it's called Parallels Desktop. I run that. That way, I think there's more than one out there you can get, but it allows you to run Windows programs on a Mac that don't have if they don't have a Mac alternative. So, and this particular one doesn't. I have one that does, and so I run that on there, but this one does not, and I really like it, and so it's the one that I primarily use, and so consequently, I had to reinstall it, and oh God, what a nightmare. Anyway, it's finally there, but I don't have it open, so I have my because I wanted to get on with this, so I have my iPad version of it open, and I'm looking at some moon information. So today it's in Taurus, so routine and stability and all of that. It is basically suggesting don't start anything new. So it'll be interesting when I finally get to this to see if cardinal energies are lessened today. I'm just dying to find out, because obviously, if they are, then that's going to align well with Taurus and maybe more routine-oriented kinds of things. Cardinal energies are initiative, so they're going to initiate things. So like, it's going to align well with Aries and things like that. Even Libra, it aligns well with, because a Libra is a cardinal sign. But in any event, the moon's also in the 7th house of partnerships. So, it could be a real good time to relate to your business partner or your life partner or a friend or what have you today. So it should be a positive experience that way. I don't see anything else here. Mostly sextiles and trines. Well, there's an opposition with Pallas, but that's probably okay. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be an easy day moon energy-wise, so not a lot of emotions in flux, so lots of support there. But I apologize for not having that up. I just, I try not to let this happen on the computer where it'll just start restarting, but once in a while after I ignore it long enough, it'll just do it. Even though, I tell it not to, it still does. So it's like, okay, it's critical. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. So must have been a critical update in there somewhere. I don't know. But in any event, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll take our first card. Again, if it's your first time here, welcome. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And if you haven't been here before, I'll just tell you briefly. I'm going to take 3 or 4 cards. It just depends on how I feel. Sometimes it depends on what the reading's showing me. It's like, oh my God, I need something else. Then I'm going to do a 4th card. I'm going to do them randomly, so I'm going to count, and I'm going to take the 13th card each time, just for randomness sake. I want, you can lay things down, which is what I do in normal readings, but for this, I don't. I like it to be really random. And then after that, I'm going to take a rune out of my rune bag from the Elder Futhark. We're going to take a look at that and see how that applies to everything, and then we're going to close out with a geomancy rune that we'll create. And I'll show you a little bit about that. You can also, over there at the blog, now over at imsteppingaside.com, you can find the monthly tarot and the monthly geomancy readings beginning of each month. And you can see just how geomancy actually works. It's an older divination tool. It's not really used very much anymore, but I like it. But then I'm just drawn to those kinds of things. So anyhow, I just like to take a look and see if it's going to kind of give maybe a foundation to everything, if it's going to align that way, or if maybe it's going to be an outlier. It's like, okay, we're going in this direction, but just remember this. so it doesn't, affect your progress. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started and take our first card. I think I've shuffled enough. I was able to get some, on our way back from the walk down the driveway, I was able to get some red clover to add to the tea. Also some hawthorn berry. I got some of that to add to the tea, which was nice this morning. Hawthorn berry is great. It's a very mild, adaptogenic, cardiac type of an herb. It basically balances out your circulatory system. So it's a nice herb if you have circulation issues, you get a little older or whatever, you have blood sugar or blood pressure problems or whatever. Hawthorn can be a nice addition to that. But if you are on blood pressure medicine, check with your doctor or your herbal practitioner to find out if it's going to be if it's going to work well with what you're already on. So I do want to say that anyway. But I use it because I don't use any other prescriptions, and so I'm just on herbs. And I like to have it. My husband has it in his tea as well. Usually I do it in tincture form, but I just grabbed some berries on the way down the driveway and threw them in the French press and made it along with the rest of our tea this morning. So anyhow, we have the Nine of Wands here, where I mean, look at the look on his face. He's been through battle, hasn't he? Wands is about the will. It's the fire element. And what I see with this card always is, he's got some support, but maybe not. Maybe people are lined up against him. 9, again, it aligns with today's numerology. So again, you're looking at completion, but at the same time, clearly the battle's over, but is it? I want to look at this one, see if there's something in here though that I'm forgetting about it that could really, not really. Yeah, he's on alert. He's determined. Strength through adversity. The battle within, maybe. If this is not indicative of that's what I was actually looking for, the battle within. If this is not something that is out in front of him, that he's not in the midst of, if it's not about other people, this could be his own battle of will within. Maybe he's come through a struggle where, either he's had a struggle with others or he's had a struggle inside of maybe what he thinks about things and how he wants to make his way in the world. Maybe he's had to stand in his own power and express his own strength. Perhaps it's been a battle of wills at his job. Maybe it's a battle of wills in his personal life. Maybe he's having to battle society. Whatever it is, it feels big, because there's so many. There's 8 other wands or staffs in back of him. And he's looking back at them with, like he's not quite trusting the whole situation. Look again at that. He's been through it, and he's been the victor here. So, or at least some part of him has been the victor. Even if it's not a victory with other people, he's finally decided, okay, this is where I'm going now. And he's standing in his own power to do it. So there's a sense of finality and completion with whatever is going on here. But again, it could mean something that's happening to you inside, internally, the internal struggle of your own will, or likely it's something that you've been dealing with other people, and it's just finally you're done. You're going to stand in your own power. You don't really care about the rest of it, because it's not really even that he won necessarily. I don't even get that feeling. It's just that it's over. And he's done. He's not going to participate maybe anymore. So actually that kind of feels like what it is. He's just not going to participate anymore. Well, we have the Knight of Wands. So you see the pyramids in the background, which is cool. The Knight is older than the Page. The Page is considered a youthful individual, a student, so you can see the age difference. The Knight's already been through all of that, and he's off on his own quest. either on behalf of the kingdom or his family, or at the very least, he's a young man trying to make his way in the world. He is concerned about legacy because he's kind of going backwards there. His horse is rearing up, kind of, considering the past, if you will. But he's not really looking at the past so much as maybe he's going forth in protection of what he has. Perhaps he's protecting the legacy. So, if he's there in the, maybe he's on the quest to the Holy Land, so he's going through Egypt right there with the 3 pyramids, there, maybe he's over in Giza right now and on his quest to the Holy Land, which is what a lot of them did back then. You had what was it, when Robert the Bruce, who is either an uncle or a grandfather in my ancestry, when he was killed or when he died in battle or whatever happened, I forget now, they took his heart. And one of my ancestors was the one that carried the heart back to Jerusalem, to the Holy Land. So, I don't know. They did odd stuff back then. But whenever I see this, I think about this particular card, especially given the pyramids that are there. The knights got around, especially if they were Templar knights. They were part of the banking system. They started all of that. What we have now, the type of banking that we have now, all of that financial structure was started by them. That and Rome. And so anyway, here, we're going to see if we're going to put that knight first. But it seems like maybe if this is the same individual, then he's had enough. He's building on his own thing. He's decided, I've had enough of all of you. I'm done battling with all of you. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make my way. And I'm going to stand in my own power. But we'll see if this is supposed to come first. But it looks like this is a response to the other. So let's see what the next card brings. Well, we have the Sun, the 19th card of the Major Arcana. It's a soul archetype card. New beginnings, success, the light is returned. You see sunflowers in the background. This time we see, instead of a reddish horse or an orangish colored horse depicting the fire element, here we have a white horse with a nude child on it, signifying purity and rebirth. Again, that the light is returned. It's a higher self type of presence card, but I think we need to have one more. So perhaps, we've had a battle of wills, we've had a struggle, maybe we haven't known what direction to take in life. Maybe some of that got decided for us with this little battle of wills we have in the 9 of Wands. Maybe we've decided we're going to set out on our own course. Maybe it's a job change or something. You might see something like that, or it might be, say, an older child that's ready to leave home. Maybe there's been a lot of battling at home, and where the boy's trying. He's a young man now, and he's trying to struggle to leave home and to leave his parents' influence, and it could be something like that. It doesn't really feel like it, but it could be. But then he's going to go out and he's going to do his own thing, right? And with the end result being success, and maybe finding his own way and a rebirth, a new direction even. Let's do one more card and see if it'll give us just a little more information. Well, definitely death, the 13th card of the Major Arcana. Either the Master Witch number 13 or a 4 energy, meaning structure and foundation. Here we have transformation with death. You see the pillars off in the distance there, the 2 towers with the sun coming up in between. You can see the town just in front of the sun, kind of the silhouette of it there. So we have the dawn of a new day. I think that parallels the sun. And I think what we're going to do, though, is we're going to put death We're going to put death after the 8 or after the 9 of Wands. So what we have then, we have standing in our own power, and we've had enough. We've had the battle of wills. It's over with. It's complete. We're ready to move on. We experience a transition, perhaps in perception, with the card of death. We're ready for a new day. We harness the will that began with the 9 of Wands, with the and bring it into the Knight of Wands. We're ready to go out and explore and create our own new reality, manifest our own new reality, with an eye on protecting legacy. Excuse me, legacy as well. There wasn't a lot of smoke out today. There was yesterday, but there was a lot of particulate in the air when we were out, and I'm still dealing with it in my throat. But then after we have the Knight of Wands, with our choice to go out and make something of ourselves and take a new path and go in a different direction and stand in our own power, then what we end up doing is we manifest success, don't we? With the Sun. So whatever choice we made here with the 9 is resulting in this, in new beginnings. You know, change isn't necessarily a bad thing just because you leave one situation for another. It's the whole idea of one door closing and another opening. So I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't feel like it, but it feels like sometimes, we hang on to things. We hang on to perspectives maybe that really don't serve us, that maybe we're really living in conflict with our own self, basically. We think one thing, we think another, we're all confused. We just don't know what direction to take. And here, whether this was a battle of wills with other people in the 9 of Wands, or it's a battle of wills within, something has broken through, something has ended. You've decided something, no matter what it is about, you've decided something. And so now you're ready to make that transition into something new, into a new day, into a new expression. We get some energy going with the Knight of Wands as you go out there and explore, and you take the bull by the horns and you go and you find a new life for yourself, or a new experience for yourself, which is going to result in some success for you. What we don't want to do is travel in resistance, and that tends to happen with the fire element. We tend to be sometimes willful, which results in some resistance. And what Laguz here is telling us, Laguz, who is the 21st rune of the Elder Futhark, so a 3 energy and all about manifestation, right? But at the same time, you want to manifest with a sense of allowing instead of a sense of resistance, and manifesting one's will. As you're making your way, as you're creating your new experience, take advantage of that, feeling of, okay, I've had enough. Let that resonate, okay? Gather whatever strength you have, but do it in a way that represents allowing versus, an allowing type of energy versus a push energy or a controlling type of energy. So Laguz is reminding us of that, of to allow it to flow. To allow change to flow, to allow new experiences to flow, and to allow whatever resistance that was happening here, preventing us from moving forward, just remember to let that fall away. Now, let's go ahead and finish out here with the geomancy rune. You can do geomancy in a variety of ways. You could take little stones, little peas, little lentils, whatever, grab a handful, throw them down. Not too much because you don't want to have to count for too long, mind you. And then you count them. If you get an odd number, that's considered a single dot. If you get an even number, it's considered 2 dots. So what I did instead, because, it's dark here, and because I like to do runes, I went ahead and these are put into the order of fire, air, water, and earth. So I created 4 runes out of some hawthorn. Same that I did these particular runes with. These are also made from hawthorn. I craft my own wooden type of runes. I don't with the stones. I buy those unless I find them on the beach or something. But anyway, this particular one I coded the single dot side with whatever element they're from. And this is air. This is fire. See it on the other side. You have 2 dots. So it can be an active influence or a passive influence. And in any event, you throw them down and you put them in that order, and there's your rune. There's 16 total. Actually, there's 8, but then you have their opposites, so it totals 16. And they all correspond to, planets and signs and earth and elements. And so you can kind of get an idea, even just from the passive and active influences contained within the rune itself, what type of energy it is. But let's go ahead and throw these down. And let me find my magnifying glass with my light so I can see what I have. Well, okay, so I have 2 dots for fire and 1 each for everything else. So what we have then, I'll draw it out for you so you can see it. We have Caput Draconis. Now, there are 2 Draconis ones. There's Caput and Cauda. Cauda is the tail of the dragon. Caput is the head of the dragon. And so Caput aligns with the North Node, or present and future influences, in terms of the present life and what's coming, what your focus ought to be. The South Node of the Moon describes what our past lives have been, and that whole influence. It also describes endings. It's considered an evil influence. The geomancers of old had a tendency to think that certain things were so evil that if you threw that down for your first rune to create your first geomancy rune, that what you should do at that point is to end the reading and destroy everything. I don't know if they meant destroy the runes you were using or whatever medium you were using, if you're using seeds or peas or whatever, or stones or whatever. I don't know if they were talking about getting rid of that as well, but whatever you're writing it out on, you have to get rid of it. You have to destroy it because it's way too evil to even continue. Clearly it wasn't a witch that described this, so I don't know. We would never have stopped. We just keep going. I mean, don't you want to know? Anyhow, so we have a passive influence for fire and active for the rest, for air, water, and earth. So again, what this is telling us again is new beginnings. We're taking a different path here, but it's one that's going to lead toward success. If we remember to be willful, but not too willful, to try to keep some of that, be a little more observational, allow for change to take place, allow for the new possibilities to take hold. Sometimes we're afraid to take on new opportunities because we get really comfortable. That's the Taurus energy that we have today. We get very, very comfortable in our relationships with others, in our work, in our life, and maybe we're not so willing to try something new. And what they're trying to say here, and especially with Taurus being in the 7th house, also, if this has to do with relationships, which this may in fact describe, then you want to establish your boundaries, of course. You don't want to be so lagoozy that you don't have any, but at the same time, you want to be in a mode that's not so restrictive that you can't move into something else. And so that's why I think that even though I think Laguz is acting as a reminder here, Cauda or Caput Draconis is basically setting the tone for the whole thing, that this is the direction we're going in. We're ready for a new beginning. The death is telling us that, yes, there's a transition that's about to take place, and to welcome that transition. It's going to affect our foundation, given its forward energy here. It's going to affect the structure of our lives. There'll be a little bit of a respite while we allow that transformation to take hold, but when we're ready, then we're going to be the knight, and we're going to go out and we're going to manifest something new and be open to new possibilities. Using intuition. Laguz is also about intuition. And intuition can it can apply to any of them, really. It can apply to both fire, water, and air. Intuition can. Some liken it strictly to fire, some to water. But basically, I sort of view it as all three together. Think the rune Alyes. where you basically got 3 horns up here and then one down, coming down into form. So you've got air, fire, and water in forming form. So you've got all of spirit in forming form. So I think that you see some directionality with this. So we're heading into something new, and the sun is promising that if we make this change, that something wonderful will happen for us. Perhaps it'll be a new job, a better paying job. Perhaps it'll just be an easier type of relating with other people, especially if you establish some boundaries, which it seems like, maybe that's might have been what was lacking here. Again, this card can really, though, indicate a lot of different things. It could be a lot of different things. It's not just, a battle of wills with someone else or a group of someone else's, such as at work or a family or neighbors or what have you. It's societally, it's about standing in our own power and not allowing those that want to restrict and conform and all of that to set the tone for the day. So yeah, I guess that's really what this is about then for today. I think that the moon's influence is going to support all of this. But again, you want to step outside that comfort zone that maybe the Taurus influence is providing today. And step outside the notion of routine and all of that and allow for the possibility of something else to happen. So, because I think in doing so, we've got Cata Draconis or Caput Draconis is promising a new beginning, and we've got the sun that is promising success. So it will be a good choice then to stand in your own power and to set your own boundaries and to set your own path. Well, cool. Well, I guess that's it for today. I will be better prepared tomorrow. I don't think the computer will restart itself and, nuke my astrology software into the ether somewhere. At least it was still there. I just had to re-download it and update it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was wanting me to do, was update it. It's like, you're not going to use this until you update. It's like, can't a window just come up and say that? I don't know. It would, make me not lose my mind. Anyway, so now that my mind has been found, I'm going to end and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that post for today. So check out the blog a little later, though. It'll be up in a little while. And so I'll also put this up as well. And it'll be over in the side panel. And also I've been doing an actual post that just lists everything. I started doing just redoing the interpretation. I thought, no. I embed the video, watch it, follow along. I don't know. It's the way you can do it that way. Anyhow, again, check out the blog over at imsteppingaside.com where you'll find all of that. You'll find lots of things there having to do with herbs and witchcraft and cannabis and Reiki and being an empath and all of that. So, and check out the correspondences and astrological information for today, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you again so much for coming by. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.